Under the vouchers can get 3 free sessions with a mental health professional. University of Illinois assistant professor Josie Rudolphi says farmers sometimes don't know where to get help.
We also have heard from other states that have offered programs like this is that really once farmers have had access to and have been through a program like this, they're much more interested and willing to continue seeking care, even if it is something that they pay for out of pocket or with insurance, just because they've been exposed to the process and the system, and they've really appreciated some of the outcomes they've experienced.
Rudolphi says farmers suffer higher rates of depression and anxiety than the general population. Your weather forecast, temperatures around 86 for this afternoon. Overnight, comfortable 67. Plenty of sun, warming up a bit tomorrow to 92. Still not all that humid, but then we'll have more humidity in the middle of the week, maybe some storms, temperatures in the low 90s. Right now, it is 75 in St. Peter, 74 in Florissant, 73, mostly cloudy downtown. I'm Scott Jagow, KMOX News.
This is the Graybar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Graybar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Now, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
And a pleasant Sunday. Joe Pott in for Tom Ackerman here on this Sunday. Graybar Sports on a Sunday morning from the Stifel Sports Studio. Glad you're along with us. We've got plenty to get to here on this Sunday morning. We're gonna cover a number of things. We'll actually have a pretty baseball heavy show, I guess, as I look at it. It'll be the Cards manager Oliver Marmol coming up here at 10:15 in his normal spot. We'll talk with Sam Dykstra. He writes for MLB Pipeline, covering the minor leagues, covering the prospects. Of course, the Futures game was last night, so we can talk to him about that, but also talk to him about the MLB draft, which actually begins later tonight in Seattle as part of the All-Star festivities. So he'll be with us at 10:30. Normally, we would have Lutz Pfannenstiel, the sporting director for St. Louis City, but they were in Toronto. They're headed for LA, so he is in transit. He won't be able to join us, but we will still talk some St. Louis City. We'll do that with Nate Gatter. He is the host, of course, of the St. Louis City Soccer Report. You hear here on Sundays. You'll hear him here later today as well. Plus, they've got a cool thing coming up starting tomorrow night, and that's going to be on the road. They're doing the St. Louis City Caravan, so you can actually go out and talk with Nate, talk with Jen Cease. They host that show normally here on Sundays. They're going to start doing this at Area Hot Shots, and it starts tomorrow night, and Klaus is supposed to be a guest. That was the last I had heard anyway, that he's going to be a guest on the show, so you have a chance to go out and meet him as well. Just really getting out there and talking with St. Louis City fans. So we'll talk to Nate about that as well. And then at 11:30, of course, we'll talk with the Cards president of baseball operations, John Mozeliak, and we'll talk to him about the first half of the season, what's to come in the second half, and really a couple of things. I think that it's important maybe to talk to him how you evaluate what is happening with this team here in the first half of the season, the first 90 games of the season. And we all know that it is an underperforming team, and it's a team that is not reaching the potential and not living up to the expectations that we thought that it would and thought that it should, quite frankly. So we can ask him about that. And I'm interested to know kind of how he approaches that August 1st deadline, right? I don't think anybody expects that it's going to be extreme one way or the other, whether it's going to be, I don't think anybody thinks it's going to be all buy, all sell. They're not breaking down this team. I think that it's safe to say that they're not going to go for this huge rebuild and tear it down and start from the bottom. It's just not going to happen that way. So how does it happen? What is the approach that John Mozeliak and his team takes to this trade deadline? And, what does he think they can do? Is there something they can do in the short term? All those things will be on the table, and I'll chat with him about that. So looking forward to all that. Also, probably have some time for some calls today. So if you do want to get in touch with the show, looking maybe probably like the end of the hours, maybe the end of the 10 o'clock hour, end of the 11 o'clock hour, 314-436-7900. I wouldn't call just yet. You'll be on hold for quite some time. You don't want to be hanging out for the entire 10 o'clock hour or the entire 11 o'clock hour. But we will have some time to take some calls, take your reaction to whatever you'd like to talk about, whether it's the Cardinals, I think probably it'll be the Cardinals, or if it is St. Louis City, who is just continuing to play so very well. And one of the things that really interests me about this St. Louis City team, almost the opposite of what we're dealing with the Cardinals here, right? Instead of being this, where the Cardinals, we had high hopes for a contender, for a division leader or champion eventually, you get this underperforming team. I think for St. Louis City, we all had these tempered expectations probably as an expansion team making its first foray into Major League Soccer. And here we have the team now with the second best record in the MLS. They continue to find different ways to win games and doing it with different lineups. It has not been the same guys. They've done it without Klaus. They've done it without Edward Leuven now for the past 4 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever it's been. So you're missing some key pieces to this team, and it is quite literally next man up. And it is quite literally whoever has been called on has been ready to perform and has performed well for this team and has this team in such great position. Big game coming up on Wednesday, by the way, for St. Louis City. They go to LA. They've got LAFC, who sits right now third in the West. They tied last night, so they did not gain all 3 points. Seattle, meanwhile, got a late game winner to vault over LAFC into second place in the Western Conference. So, but it's a big game. It's just 5 points between St. Louis City and LAFC. So that's a huge game. So we'll talk to Nate Getter about that. We can talk all about that. I can talk to you about that if you would like to call in. As I said, it's been a really, really exciting season, obviously, for St. Louis City SC. Not been as an exciting season for the Cardinals. We'll talk with the Cardinals manager, Oliver Marmol, when we come back here. Sports on a Sunday morning here from KMOX. I'm Joe Pott. Keep it here.
Cardinals baseball is in full swing.
Right center field. A grand slam for Nolan Gorman.
With the free Odyssey app, local fans can listen live all summer long, whether you're at the grill or at the pool.
And it's a goner. An opposite field home run for Wilson Contreras.
Cardinals baseball. Cardinals announcers. Streaming live on the free Odyssey app. AUDACY. Get in the game and download it today.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
I'm Jim Onder. When you've been injured, you only get one chance in court. One chance to make things right, to protect your family and future. You need the firepower to do it right the first time. At Underlaw, we understand what's on the line. We know that the outcome of your case can impact your life for years to come. If you're facing a legal battle, don't leave your future to chance.
Onder Law Personal Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com for more information.
Carol Daniel for Chesterfield Fence and Deck. I love a good home show. I like to go to see the latest projects and products and talk to designers and consultants. Going to Chesterfield Fence and Deck to their showroom, it's like going to a home show. 25,000 square feet of beautiful projects. You can check them out now or even after your consultation. You'll see samples of their quality products in person, and you get to ask any question at all. If you're ready to enjoy your backyard like never before, go to Chesterfield Fence and Deck and see their showroom for yourself. You'll see examples of their fences, the wood, the vinyl, the aluminum, even chain link fences, their decks, their sunrooms, their patios, or their pergolas. You've always wanted a pergola. You can go see it at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. And when you call in the month of July and mention my name, Carol Daniel, 636-532-4054, by the way, you get 20% off your next outdoor project. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best.
We all know how important nutrition is to our health, so why don't we do something about it? With Neovitin Men's 50 Plus, you can give your body sensible doses of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants to support your daily health. Formulated for men over 50, Neovitin Men's 50 Plus gives you B vitamins to support energy and our proprietary physician-formulated blend for daily support you won't find anywhere else. Do something about your health today with Neovitin Men's 50 Plus. Available at your local Schnucks and Deerbergs.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win. Billikens win.
Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
It's Joe Pott in for Tom Ackerman here this Sunday morning. As Sports on a Sunday Morning continues here on KMOX. Glad you are with us. And as always, we are glad that the Cardinals manager, Oliver Marmol, is with us. Appreciate him taking some time here today from the south side of Chicago, where they will face the White Sox coming up here in just a bit. Good morning, Oliver Marmol.
Good morning. How we doing?
We're doing all right, and I imagine that you are doing all right this morning after a pitching performance like we saw yesterday, something needed by the club and probably needed by your right-hander, Miles Mikolas.
Yeah, absolutely. With the way our pen shaping up, it was needed for him to go out there and give us the length that he did. He did a really nice job of attacking the zone with all his stuff. That was exactly what the club needed, man.
And it's set up from his start to Gio's performance to Jordan Hicks' performance. I mean, that if you could draw it up, this is how you draw it up.
Exactly. I mean, those are the two guys you want to go to there in the 8th and 9th, and Gio did his job. We got some swing and miss, and then Hicks came in there and did his job. So overall, that's exactly the way you wanted that game to go, and thankfully it did.
When I think about Jordan Hicks in the closing spot, and it just since he has kind of taken over that role, I think it was when you were up in New York. But one of the things I think about with Jordan Hicks is I don't find myself worrying, like yesterday, a couple of guys get on base. I don't find myself worrying that's going to be as big of an issue because I know that he has the ability to come right back, attack those last two hitters, whatever it is. And he did that yesterday despite having a couple of guys on base.
Yeah, I think a part of it is what gives you comfort in that is he does have swing and miss, right? So there's times where he pitches to contact. There's time where he tries to get swing and miss. But the contact is usually on the ground because of how much his ball moves and sinks rather than being four seam at the top and in the air and sometimes doubles and homers. So he can miss a bat, but when there's contact, it's usually on the ground. So overall, yeah, he's done a really nice job in that role.
Do you feel like you can take some momentum if you can get a game today, get a couple of much-needed days off this week during the All-Star break? Do you feel like you can kind of carry some momentum perhaps into this second half?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. So that's our hope, exactly, because we have gotten some pretty good starts out of Monty and Miles and Jack, and it'll be good to see Matt here in a couple hours. But overall, if you can create a little bit of momentum and just start piling up some wins and see what happens. But right now, the guys are excited about doing that.
Steven Matz is a guy that has, filled the roles that you have asked him to fill this year. Obviously, He has had some tough luck this year. He's 0-7 as he starts here this afternoon. When you talk to him and when you approach it, like coming back to make a start today, what's that approach? What's that conversation like with Steven Matz?
Just have a little bit of an edge to him and be aggressive. I think when you've had to start, to your point, to the 0-7 and things aren't going your way, you can fall into this mode where you're just waiting for something bad to happen rather than being aggressive and letting it eat. And he out of the pen was doing that a little more and more every time out. There's an edge to him. There's intent behind all his pitches. His velo was there. He was getting swing and miss with the secondary stuff. And that's kind of what we want to see today is just go out there, be aggressive. Whatever happens, happens, but be just pedal down and go. So that's our hope of what we see out of Matz today.
And how does the bullpen shape up behind him this afternoon?
Yeah, guys are going to go out there in a minute, play some catch. We'll see who's available. Gio and Hicks have thrown 3 out of the last 4 days. Stratton had a pretty heavy workload over the week. So we'll see how they're feeling today and see if they can give us an inning each.
I have noticed that the lineup is not yet posted. Are we waiting on Mr. Contreras by any chance?
We are. Our hope is that he's good to go. But that's exactly what we're waiting on. He was still pretty sore yesterday, and the last thing I want is for him to take a foul tip to the mask with the work he got done 2 days ago. So we'll see how he comes in today, and if he can go, he'll be in there.
Gosh, I think anybody who's had any kind of dental work understands that it affects so much more than just, that tooth or the mouth or whatever. I mean, I can't imagine going out there a couple of days after having some kind of dental work. That cannot be pleasant.
No, so he really wanted to go yesterday. Obviously, he was unable, so we'll see how he comes in. And if he can go, then he'll be in there, and it'll be fun to watch him behind the plate again.
Yesterday after the game, you were asked about Jordan Montgomery, and you said, it's going to be something that the St. Louis doctors need to evaluate. Did you see anything on the imaging, or was it inconclusive, or where are we at as far as that goes?
Yeah, no, it's kind of best case scenario for Monty. Strength is there. He's feeling better today. It's a matter of our doctors. As soon as we land back in St. Louis, he's going to get checked out this evening and figure out what the plan is. But until we do that, it's hard to determine like a real timeline for him.
There's never obviously a best time, but is this a better time since we know that, this is a down week anyway after that start he was going to have this week because of the All-Star break? Does that make things any easier, you think, going forward with him?
Well, yeah, you have some built-in off days, which is helpful. Obviously, you don't, to your point, ever want it to happen, but you have some built-in off days that allow for him to get a little bit of rest. So once he sees the doc tonight, we'll see what that timeline looks like, but we're hoping for good news.
Let me talk a little bit about the rookie Jordan Walker, because there's so much more than just his overall numbers. And you talk about, you hear people talk about clutch players or stepping up in those big moments. And that is something that Jordan Walker has done. And the media staff has a note today about how well he has done in those late game situations, specifically the ninth inning. And yesterday, he gives you another big swing, that insurance run in the ninth inning. There's a mentality about being able to step up and perform in those situations, isn't there?
You nailed it. There is a mentality behind that, and some players embrace it and others run from it. Jordan was just in my office for the last 10, 15 minutes, and we were just talking through some things. And, man, his mentality is it really is elite. The way he thinks about the game, the way he handles pressure. Because, you come up as a top prospect, and there's expectations, and the way he's handled that has been really, really good. So just talking through some things offensively and defensively for him and how he's thinking about the progression and developing as an outfielder has been really good. But when you talk about those clutch moments, he's a really good player. He's got a lot of talent. His skill set is unbelievable, but the mentality matched with that skill set is what's going to be fun to watch for the next several years.
And when you talk about him in the outfield, it's those kind of things that's going to serve him as he gets more comfortable and quite frankly learns to play as a big league outfielder, right?
Yeah, he made the switch around this time All-Star break, right? So like we're not too far into this journey of being an outfielder, and for him is understanding like, listen, yes, you're being evaluated as an outfielder and kind of how that's going, but you have to understand that this is a process. It's going to take time, and the more you're out there, the better you'll get at slowing the game down. And he's doing a really nice job of slowing the game down. Even just moments ago, he talked about, man, first time up compared to how I feel now in the box, like things are slower and I'm able to lay off certain pitches. And I feel like the game is just a tick slower than before. Defensively, that hasn't happened for him yet, but it will. And the more he's out there, he's going to make mistakes, and that's part of it. But the more he's out there, the better off he'll be. And I think at the end of all of this, he's going to be a really good defender.
Another good example of that and that mentality and that willingness to or the ability to slow the game down. And you and I talked about this earlier in the year, but Nolan Gorman is a perfect example of that this year compared to last year, isn't he?
Yeah, and that was an off-season thing, right? Like
right.
It took a full off-season of diligent work in order to come back and start to have the year that he's had this year. But that's offensively and defensively. Like if you look at Gorman at second base, yeah, there's a couple miscues 2 games ago, but he's played a really nice second base for us. Turns a really good double play. He's ranged well, and he grades out as a plus defender there. So overall, the work he put in the offseason has led to what we're seeing out of Gorman, and we're going to see something similar out of Jordan. We're already seeing a really good player, but he'll make some changes this offseason defensively, and we're going to see a better defender next year. But it takes time, and we'll be patient with it.
Oliver Marmol, always great to catch up with you and appreciate the time here on a game day before a game, a big one today with the White Sox. Best of luck to you and the team today and into the second half.
Appreciate it, man. Seriously, thank you.
There is the Cardinals manager, Oliver Marmol, today as the Cards get set for a series finale against the White Sox coming up here later this afternoon. You can hear it right here on KMOX. Of course, it's a 1:10 first pitch, and Steven Matz will be on the mound to start for the Redbirds. We'll take a break here from the Stiefel Sports Studio. We'll come back. We'll keep the baseball conversation going. We'll visit with Sam Dykstra of MLB Pipeline. That's coming up as the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning continues right here on your home for Cardinals baseball, KMOX.
When it's hot, the last thing you want is your home's AC to quit on you. At 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning, our team of comfort specialists take the frustration out of the equation. From simple repairs to more complex fixes, we'll get you cool and comfortable quickly. Just call 855-1HOUR or visit onehouраir.com. Don't forget, we're
always on time or you don't pay time. Always on time or you don't pay time.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in their respective state or county.
Summer is here. Time to enjoy baseball, barbecues, and the shade of your trees. When it comes to tree care, call the certified arborist at Gamma Tree Experts. Hi, I'm Tim Gamma. Protect your valuable trees from storm damage or devastating insects such as the emerald ash borer. Knowledge and quality are hallmarks of our reputation. For pruning, spraying, fertilization, or removals, call Gamma Tree Experts today at 314-725-6159 or visit us at gammatree.com. Your trees deserve the best care.
KMOX Enter Service Weekend, sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. This summer, try some eco-friendly water sports like paddleboarding, swimming, or diving. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Be the next legendary winner at Horseshoe St. Louis Casino. Enjoy thrilling action and bold bets from classic slot play and state-of-the-art video machines to all your favorite table games and high-limit action. Set along the Mississippi River in the heart of downtown, just a quick walk from the ballpark. Horseshoe St. Louis Casino, a Caesars Rewards destination. Legendary. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Know when to stop before you start. Gambling problem? Call 1-888-BETS-OFF.
Weeknights at 6. It's the Gray Bar Sports Open Line.
Do welcome you in right here on KMOX. My name is Matt Pauley.
Matt Pauley has everything sports, from what's happening with your Cardinals,
A lot of Cardinals baseball stuff, a lot to get into,
to the sports news of the day,
Let's talk a little St. Louis Blues hockey,
interviews and special guests.
the head coach of the St. Louis University women's basketball team.
It's all waiting for you with Matt Pauley.
It's all coming up.
The Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Weeknights at 6 on KMOX.
If you're trying to sell a home, there's only one agent in town that I trust, Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty. My friends Mark and Neil have the best system, options, and strategies to connect you to the best qualified buyers, getting your home sold fast and for top dollar. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
One of the things that surprises people after they retire is how much they still owe in taxes. The good news is Steve All of the All Financial Group, he's here to show you some strategies that can lower your tax obligations both now and in the future. Call today, 636-230-8824 or online at yourmoneymattersstl.com. Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor. BWA and All Financial Group, LLC are separate companies.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends at Zero Res Carpet Cleaning. This month is National Carpet Cleaning Month, so we have a very special deal for you. 3 rooms, Zero Res Clean at just $129. And we will throw in a 4th room for free. So during the month of July, it is 3 rooms of carpeting, Zero Res Clean for just $129, and we'll throw in a 4th room for free. Also, take advantage of 20% off savings on your air duct cleaning this month. We can clean your tile. We can clean your air ducts. We can clean everything you have, and we will do it expertly. The one thing you want to do is avoid the do-it-yourself stuff. Never, ever rent something from a grocery store or borrow it from a friend. You're just bringing someone else's yucky stuff into your home. You can do much better than that. 314-474-2020. Find out why we have a 4.9 Google rating after 4,700 reviews. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Once again, from the Stiefel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
Joe Pott in for Tom Ackerman here on this Sunday morning. Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning. Glad you're with us here from downtown St. Louis. Cloudy day, but it's a nice day. It's not overly hot. It's baseball season, of course, just finished with the Cards manager, Oliver Marmol, and we keep the baseball conversation moving in a little bit of a different direction. Sam Dykstra of MLB Pipeline joins us now, and want to talk a lot of things with Sam, but let's start, Sam, with the Futures game last night and a fun game in Seattle.
Yeah, it certainly was a lot of fun last night in Seattle. Especially for Cardinals fans getting to see Victor Scott II steal 2 bases. He had one of my favorite quotes last night saying he dreamed of getting a single. How often do you hear guys looking for a single in a showcase event like that? But he's a guy who has been consistently at the top of minor league stolen base leaderboards, and he wanted to show off his best skill, which is his top of the line speed. So credit to him. And then Tink Hence pumping high 90s fastballs, dropping in really good off-speed stuff. It was a lot of fun to watch, even in a shorter 7-inning format.
And people may not be as familiar with Victor Scott. I think Tink Hence, I think most people probably know about, but he stole 2 bases after the single, as you mentioned, and reached a sprint speed of just over 29 miles per hour. He was right up there with the best or the fastest time in Major League Baseball this year for a steal. So it's an exciting skill that, at least for a while, I think that, was kind of lost in Major League Baseball, and maybe now it's starting to come back. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the modern game right now, and this is kind of our first year of it, but playing with larger bases, playing with pickoff limitations for the pitchers, that's done to encourage movement on the base path. And Victor Scott II is somebody who, like we said, had top of the line speed coming out of West Virginia. He was a 5th round pick last year, and now he's stolen 52 bags in 75 games. I mean, he's somebody who's definitely can take advantage of those new rules changes and clearly loves running. I mean, talk about somebody who wants to show off that skill. He definitely did it last night, and he's been doing that all year at high A and double A.
Anybody surprise you last night that either on the good side or the bad side, unexpected performance?
The one that I won't say it surprised me because we knew he had really premium stuff, but Jacob Mizorowski, the Brewers pitcher, led the game with 6 swings and misses, had 3 strikeouts and 4 batter space, touched 102.4 miles an hour. Again, we knew the guy threw hard. He's really lean. He's tall. He's skinny, but the velocity really comes from him. He showed a really good cutter, showed some other good breaking pitches as well. We knew it was all in there, but for him to show out in that way and, like I said, get 3 strikeouts in his inning was huge. And there was a definite buzz, not just around people watching the game, but, people who have been following all year. Like, if he can do this over 5-6 innings, I mean, it's Ace-like stuff. It's just he's had some control problems in the past, didn't really show up last night, but he definitely put himself on the map.
Sam Dykstra covers the minor leagues, covers the prospects with us here on KMOX Sports on a Sunday morning. And I honestly don't know the answer to this question. When they're looking at the roster makeup for the Futures game, is this something that the organization decides who they'd like to send? Is it Major League Baseball asking for certain prospects? How is that process? How does that work?
Yeah, it's a lot of input from a lot of different people. I mean, Major League Baseball would love to send the best prospects. Best prospects aren't always available. There might be injuries. There might be innings limitations. So farm directors have a say in this. Other front office personnel have a say in this. From my understanding, it's a lot of like MLB might go to the teams first, and then the teams say, hey, here are like 5 guys we will allow to go or that we want to go and we want to have show off. And then MLB picks from that pool. So you try to spread it out as evenly as you can. Some teams have more than others. I mean, like we said, the Cardinals had 2. Some teams only had 1. Some teams had as many as 3, like the Brewers did. It's kind of tough to fit all the puzzle pieces together. But yeah, it's a lot of negotiation between both the MLB side and the club side.
Sometimes your prospects are playing Major League Baseball, like Elly De La Cruz, and doing his own stealing of bases as he did in yesterday's game. As I look at the most recent prospect rankings, the top 100, they are littered with guys who are now in Major League Baseball, and those teams are starting to utilize those prospects. And Elly De La Cruz, who's number 2 on the list, is obviously somebody that I think a lot of people around baseball, if they haven't, they are taking notice of. But we're seeing those prospects now start to come to the big leagues and pay off.
Yeah, I mean, especially with somebody like Elly De La Cruz, who is one of the most dynamic prospects we've had in recent memory. I mean, you talk about top of the line speed, top of the line throwing ability, very close to top of the line power. I mean, he can hit it really well from both sides, being a switch hitter left and right. The only reason we have him at number 2 and not number 1, and this is when we updated the list a few weeks ago, so who knows, it might have been different if we came out with a new one this morning, was the strikeouts. I mean, he's struck out at least 30% of the time everywhere he's been. That's basically continued in the majors. I think it's a little under 30%. It's tough to succeed when you strike out that much, but when you hit the ball as hard as he can, and when you can run as fast as he can, you can make up for it. As long as you put the ball in play, he's always got a chance to get a hit or an extra base hit. And the way he's shown up and the way not only the Reds have been revitalized, but like the whole city of Cincinnati seems to have really coalesced around him. And they have some other incredible young pieces. Matt McClain, who came up first, Spencer Steer, another really good, productive rookie. Andrew Abbott has been really good as a rookie pitcher as well. I mean, there's something to be said here of like, hey, if you have the really good young players, get them to the major leagues and you're going to see your team become that much better. The Diamondbacks are learning that with Corbin Carroll, who's been, an all-star starter this year as a rookie. We've seen Francisco Alvarez with the Mets be one of the best rookie catchers we've ever seen. There's a real inflection point right now with teams trusting their young talent and letting them be productive at the top level and getting those major league teams over the hump.
I mean, and you said it, the revitalization of the Reds and of Cincinnati and the number of first or second year players that are playing such a huge role for the Reds is exciting for them, for sure. Your number 1 prospect, or at least the last time the list came out, is a name that Cardinals fans probably know, Holiday. It's Jackson Holiday. How does a guy at single A get to the top of that prospect ranking list?
Yeah, I mean, Jackson Holiday, last year's number 1 overall pick, has already climbed to high A. I mean, he got some time at low A last year. He's now at high A. He's hit everywhere he's been. Not only that, he's basically walked as much as he struck out everywhere he's been. It's just a super projectable hit tool. And if we're talking about Ellie De La Cruz, his biggest weakness is his hit tool. That's Jackson Holiday's biggest strength. And also, it might be the most difficult thing to do in baseball. So if that's his biggest strength, that's how he's going to provide value. He does it at a premium position of shortstop. I know last night in the game, he had kind of an awkward throw to second. Didn't look great on that. It's a learning point. He's only 19. But when I've seen him play short, it's pretty solid out there. I think he can stick there moving forward. So when you have a guy who can hit, a guy who already hits for some power and is going to grow into more, because he's only 19 years old, saying 6 foot, 185, more power is coming. It's just super projectable. And like I said, like the toughest thing to teach in baseball is to hit a baseball, to be a continual 300 hitter, which is what he's been at the lower level so far. I expect him to get a taste of Double A by the time the season's out, and that's incredibly rare for a teenager.
Let's switch topics a little bit. Let's talk about the draft, which begins tonight in Seattle with rounds 1 and 2. You tweeted out a piece earlier today. By the way, it's at Sam Dykstra, MILB, if you'd like to follow on Twitter. Jim Callis and Jonathan Mayo giving their sort of projections. And as you mentioned, maybe a little bit of a surprise, both of them talking about Wyatt Langford, the outfielder from Florida.
Yeah, the debate at number 1 for who the Pirates are going to take has been maybe the biggest topic I've talked to baseball people about in the last week or two, because everybody's trying to figure out what Pittsburgh's doing. We've always talked this spring about there being a big 5 of Dylan Cruz, Paul Skeens out of LSU, Wyatt Langford out of Florida, and then 2 high school bats in Walker Jenkins and Max Clark. And the thought process all spring has been it's one of the 2 LSU guys. Those guys are really premium talents. But in their last update, Jim and Jonathan have Wyatt Langford going first to the Pirates. And one thing I want to emphasize on that is that I think Wyatt Langford is a lot closer to the LSU pair than a lot of people think. He's one of my favorite college bats to watch hit. He just looks so relaxed at the plate. But when he makes contact, it's vicious. It's loud exit velocities. The only reason why I give Dylan Cruz the advantage in my evaluation of them is Dylan Cruz, I think, is more likely to stay in center field. Langford played a lot of left field this year for the Gators. But otherwise, they're pretty close. I mean, they're both really special hitters. They have power. They have decent speed. The pieces are there. So if you're the Pirates and Langford's willing to sign for $500,000 or $1 million less, that's something you bake into the pie here. I mean, the signing bonus pools are a consideration when you're drafting, especially at number one, and you want a deeper draft class. The Pirates, as much as it seems like they've kind of turned a corner this year, they are still rebuilding. They could use all the talent they can get. And if they can get Wyatt Langford here and then a better player with their second pick because they have the savings from Langford, maybe that's something that they're considering doing. Even with both of those guys having Langford at number one, I don't think anything's settled yet. I don't think that necessarily means it's going to be Langford with a bullet. It just seems like that's the way things are going as of now. But, as we're talking to you, there's still hours to go until the Pirates make that first pick.
And teams kind of have to balance when you're talking about obviously two guys from the SEC over a couple of high school players, as you mentioned, in Max Clark and Walker Jenkins, that the time factor, right? Like, do you have the time that you can invest maybe a year or two more to develop that high school player as opposed to somebody coming out of the SEC?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a consideration. For me, I would just take whoever you think is going to be the best player long term. I mean, if there's a high school bat available and you think that guy's better or going to be a better major leaguer someday, even if it takes 3-4 years to develop him, get him into your system. Mold him how you want, because they're going to have a longer runway of development. Maybe you, as an organization, prefer a certain style of hitting or prefer, something you want all your hitters to be doing. You get him in the system, you develop him for longer. You can make him how you want. So if you think Walker Jenkins is going to be a better hitter than Wyatt Langford, and I don't think you're going to find many scouts that believe that, but there might be some, then take him. Like, get him into your system and be able to boast about him for years to come, because if I were drafting, and I'm not a scouting director, I've never worked in the scouting office, but having followed the draft and covered the draft for 10 plus years now, I would take the best player available. Like, just get who you think is going to be the best major leaguer someday and let the other pieces fall where they may. But, some clubs like the Pirates, if they're really considering college bat and they do think they're turning a corner, getting somebody like Wyatt Langford, getting somebody like Paul Skeens or Dylan Cruz, those guys are going to be up in the majors 2 years tops. I mean, they are so advanced, and they can really help push you over the edge, kind of like what we're seeing with Ellie De La Cruz and Matt McClain in Cincinnati.
Is there somebody that is on your radar, Sam Dykstra, that maybe is not on others, or maybe is on fewer radars? And it doesn't have to be first, second round. Like, even if there's somebody like down the draft board that you really like, or that you think that somebody should be looking out for, is there someone like that on your radar?
Well, the one I'm really fascinated to see where he's going to go. And this is a first round guy, so I'm sure many people who follow the draft are going to know him. But it's Nolan Shanuel of Florida Atlantic, who actually Jonathan Mayo has going to the Cardinals at 21st in his latest mock. But this guy walked 71 times this spring at Florida Atlantic, struck out only 14 times. That's incredible. That's an incredible walk to strike out ratio. Barry Bonds didn't even touch that, when he was with the Giants. It's really incredible. He was a lesser conference. It's Conference USA, but he showed good power, had 19 homers, batted .447. I mean, it was between him and Dylan Cruz of like, who was the most productive college bat this spring. Now he's a first base pretty much only guy. They sent him out a little bit in the outfield. I think he's going to only be first base. So I'm just so fascinated to see how you evaluate that. Like, when a guy makes such good swing decisions and obviously has some power, if he played any other position than first, he'd be an easy top 10 pick. How are teams going to kind of figure that out? Is it going to be more of a model base, like some of these teams that prefer plugging guys into a model and trying to project forward? Because he's easy to project with those numbers. Or is it, these teams going to rely on scouts and say, hey, listen, he's not great defensively and he's going to fall further and further down? I'm just fascinated to see where Nolan Shanuel is going to end up tonight.
Nolan Shanuel, Florida Atlantic. That's the guy that Cardinals fans may want to keep an eye on. Well, Sam Dykstra, I appreciate you taking some time here on a Sunday morning. It's at Sam Dykstra, MILB on Twitter. Look forward to seeing your coverage the rest of the way out, and looking for another prospect ranking here coming up, and hopefully we'll catch up again down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
That is Sam Dykstra from MLB Pipeline, and he covers minor leagues and the prospects, and also the draft, as we were talking about right there. So appreciate him taking some time. We'll come back. We'll wrap up hour number 1 here on the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning. Joe Pott with you, coming back after this on KMOX.
Broadcasting from the Underlaw Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
Hey guys, Glover here, and I see clearly thanks to Doctors Birdie and Malhotra, and you can too. Go to youridoc.com today or call 314-966-5000.
The epic love story returns. West Side Story leaps onto the Muni stage through July 21st. Sponsored by Edward Jones. For tickets, muni.org.
Meet me at the Muni in Forest Park.
If you're looking for a reliable and trusted electrical service provider, look no further than Reinhold Electric, your go-to experts for all your electrical needs. Whether you need residential or commercial electrical services, Reinhold Electric has you covered. With decades of experience and a team of highly skilled electricians, we deliver top-notch solutions tailored to your specific requirements. No job is too big or too small for our experienced team. Call 314-631-1158 online at ReinholdElectric.com.
Do you know the secret to losing up to 1 pound of fat every day? Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Glickert with the St. Louis Weight Loss Secret, and I know the secret. My unique weight loss program makes it easy to lose weight, get healthy, and get your energy back naturally, safely, and effectively. If you'd love to lose unhealthy fat without counting points or calories, no exercising, no prepackaged meals, no HCG, no surgery, and no hypnosis,
call my office now at 314-207-8600.
Hey, it's Debbie Monterey, and I really needed some help getting rid of those pandemic pounds, and St. Louis Weight Loss Secret has made it easy for me. I started losing weight right away and have lost 20 pounds in just 1 month eating real food, healthy food. I feel great. I'm going to keep going. Many patients lose 20 to 30 pounds in a month, a half pound to a pound per day. For your free private weight loss consultation, call 314-207-8600, 314-207-8600, or online at moweightloss.com.
Join us for a fantastical journey at St. Louis Union Station. Board the St. Louis Wheel, soaring 200 feet into the air all year round. The St. Louis Aquarium at Union Station lets you explore the world's great waterways and over 10,000 amazing creatures. Swing from the ropes course high over the aquarium and get lost in our mirror maze. It's all here at St. Louis Union Station, where the journey is like no other.
Plan your visit at stlouisunionstation.com. St. Louis Union Station. See where it takes you.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win. Billikens win.
Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
It's Joe Pott in for Tom Ackerman here on this Sunday morning. Sports on a Sunday morning continues here on your home for Cardinals baseball, KMOX. The Cardinals lineup is out, and Wilson Contreras is in said Cardinals lineup. So if you caught our conversation with Oliver Marmol just a little bit ago, he was talking about the question being whether or not Wilson Contreras would be in the lineup. He had a tooth extraction, and it's kept him out of the lineup for the past couple of days. He's in there. He cleans up and he catches. It's Nootbaar, Goldschmidt, Arenado at the top three. Burleson is in left. Walker is in right. Gorman is at third. DeYoung is at short. And Jose Furman makes his first start. He is at second base, so he'll have his first big league at bat as well. Did say we could take some calls here as we finish up this first hour and hopefully do it again at the end of the second hour here this morning. And do have some reaction, some comments. Chris is up first. Chris, you're on KMOX.
Hi, Joe. Really enjoy the show. It's really good.
Thank you.
Hey, my question is, the Cardinals, I realize the bullpen's been shaky a lot this year, but the defense really hasn't been up to par that it has been last year. I know Edman was the team's best shortstop, but now he's playing center field. Do you think that has something to do with maybe the tough season?
100%. I think that this is a team that a lot of guys are still looking for, or they're still trying to find those roles. You talk about center field alone, when you think about what this team has at least told us, right? So the end of last year, let's go back to the trade deadline last year. Dylan Carlson is your center fielder. That's what we were told. Dylan Carlson's going to be the center fielder. He never really caught on. He never really kind of took hold of that position. Spring training this year, we're told Tyler O'Neill is your center fielder. Tyler O'Neill is going to be the guy in center field. We even had, the metrics fed to us on why Tyler O'Neill made the best center fielder. And then it was going to be, well, we want to get Lars Nootbaar in the rotation to be your center fielder. Lars Nootbaar is going to be your center fielder. And then exactly as you say, Tommy Edman has been your center fielder. And now obviously he is injured and he's on the injured list. So I think you make a great point in that these guys, a lot of these players have not been able to sort of get comfortable in the defensive spots, in their defensive spots. Nootbaar is in center today, by the way. And I think that plays a lot into the struggles that this team has had defensively. It's not something that we've seen the last couple of seasons with this team. Not the inability, but the lack of reliability, I guess, on defense. And I think you raise a good point.
Thanks a lot, Joe.
I appreciate it. That's Chris with us here on KMOX. And coming up next hour here on Sports on a Sunday Morning, Nate Gatter is going to talk some St. Louis City, as well as, of course, the Cards president of baseball operations, John Mozeliak. He'll be with us coming up at 11:30 in his regular spot. Nate Gatter is going to be on at 11:15. That's normally where we'd have Lutz Pfannenstiel, of course, the sporting director of St. Louis City, but they are going to be traveling between Toronto and LA. That's legitimately a cross-country flight from the far northeast to sort of the Southern California side. So, and not necessarily a quick turnaround, but it's quick enough, right? It's not Saturday to Saturday. You're going Saturday to Wednesday if you're St. Louis City. So he is on he'll be traveling, so he is not able to join us. So Nate Gatter will, and we'll talk to Nate about last night's win, of course, about the way that St. Louis City is trending. And we'll talk again about that show that's coming up tomorrow night where Nate and Jen Cease, they'll be on the road. They'll have the Sports Open Line spot from 6 to 8, and they'll be talking St. Louis City soccer. And I think Drew can tell me if I'm wrong. Is it the Wentzville? Is it out in Wentzville tomorrow night? They're at Hot Shots, right?
Yes, it is Wentzville.
So Wentzville Hot Shots tomorrow night. And I think the plan is to be at different Hot Shots locations as they move this show around. And it's a really good opportunity to get out, be a part of the show, be a part of what they're doing as far as soccer. But like Klaus will be there tomorrow. That's really cool. I mean, I think that any fan wants to kind of meet those players, right? And wants to see those players up close. And Klaus being the talent that he is, and unfortunately, it's been a while since fans have seen him on the field, but they'll get a chance to see him in person.
Absolutely, I'm going out there Monday, so I want to meet Klaus.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, if I get a chance to meet Klaus, this is how I'm going to do it. So
without a doubt, that is Drew Young. He is our producer here on Sports on a Sunday Morning. I'm Joe Pott in for Tom Ackerman. And again, so we'll have that coming up in our second hour. And then Cardinals baseball, of course, coming up from Chicago. Last game before the All-Star break. I asked Oliver Marmol, is there some momentum that can be taken from a series win here? I said last Sunday when the Cards beat the Yankees and they won that series 2 out of 3, it was great. You celebrate. You're happy about that. But there had to be progress this week in Miami and in Chicago, and unfortunately there wasn't. They lost 3 of 4 in Miami. In fact, I think I said it has to be a 5-2 road trip to really feel like you've gotten some traction. You have to win the series, both series. And it could have gone the other way. It could have been, let's say, a sweep of Chicago, and then you win 2 from Miami. But I thought that it had to be basically 5-2 on this road trip to really feel like you had gotten some traction. I think you would really feel like there was some legitimate momentum going into the All-Star break. That would be 2 out of 3 from the Yankees, 5 out of 7 on this road trip. Now the best they are looking at, if they win today's game, obviously is a 3-4 road trip after dropping 3 in Miami. And of course, that really difficult loss on Friday night to the White Sox, which maybe more importantly, included the loss of Jordan Montgomery. And we don't know yet what the status is of Jordan Montgomery because they'll wait till today. They'll wait till they get back to St. Louis. Now, Oliver Marmol said best case scenario, so that at least leads me to believe. I thought yesterday when they said they're waiting for St. Louis doctors, I thought it was we've seen something on the scan. We're going to wait for our medical staff to weigh in on it. It sounded better to me when we talked to Oliver Marmol earlier today. It sounded more like we're in a good situation, but we want the doctors to tell us how to move forward. So I feel better about that. I hope that's the case. You never know with injuries. So I hope that's the case. So we'll get ready for our second hour coming up here on Sports on a Sunday. We've got, of course, news for you, and then we'll get into it. And we'll have a chance to take some more calls at the end of the 11 o'clock hour. So be thinking about that if you want to get in, 436-7900. Don't call now because you're going to wait now almost. You're going to wait an hour if you want to get on at the end of the 11 o'clock hour. But at the end of the 11 o'clock hour, we'll be able to take a call or two. And you can always tweet at me as well, Joe_Pott. Or if you're watching along, there are many ways to get involved. You can jump in on the chat as well. In fact, I've been remiss. I didn't look at that. So nobody in on the chat right now, but you can react that way as well. News coming up, and then our second hour coming up here on the Gray Bar. Sports on a Sunday morning. Joe Pott in for Tom Ackerman. Keep it on KMOX.
You know the Midwest Money slogan, isn't cash in the bank better than scrap in the drawer? This is Johnny Rabbit. Midwest Money, the oldest coin shop in St. Louis. Buying, selling, and trading since 1971. Silver and gold, coins, sterling silver, flags, medals, daggers, and more. Not sure what you have? Bring your collectibles to someone you can trust. Midwest Money at the corner of Hampton and Holly Hills. You'll be happy you did.
He's Michael Kelly.
I love getting to spend time talking politics.
He's John Hancock.
You never know what we're going to be talking about.
It's Hancock and Kelly.
Boy, what a pair.
Now part of Expanded Total Information AM. Friday mornings at 8:30.
Now that people know we're going to be on every Friday, they can avoid listening to us.
Nah, they'll be listening. Everybody wants to hear common sense political discourse.
Hancock and Kelly. Hear what they've got to say. Friday mornings, 8:30 till 10. Only on KMOX.
Don't miss the final weekend of Miller Furniture's half-price sale.
I'm Mark Miller, owner of Miller Furniture, your home for quality American-made furniture since 1927. Don't miss our biggest sale of the year and get half off on over $4 million of in-stock inventory and select custom orders.
Come shop the largest selection of solid wood, Amish-made furniture, and the best variety of flex steel furniture in the St. Louis area.
Plus, get the freedom of great sleep with free pillows, free sheets, and free financing with your purchase of any Chatham & Wells and Posh and Lavish mattress, or save 20%.
Visit any of our 3 locations in Belleville, Lake St. Louis, or Ellisville on Manchester Road to save on over $4 million of inventory.
Hurry into Miller Furniture's half-price sale now until July 9th. Save half off our list price on everything in stock. Plus, we've negotiated limited-time factory-authorized savings from many of our amazing furniture craftsmen, so you'll save more than ever on custom orders, too.
Don't miss the half-price sale at Miller Furniture, your American-made furniture headquarters on both sides of the river.
I don't want to wait.
You never want to wait.
Not when I'm sticking to the couch.
Well, those guys can install a new AC for days. Evidently, no one can.
JerryKelly.com says if you purchase a full home comfort system today, they'll install it the very next day.
Wow, that's fast.
And guaranteed. Buy a home comfort system from Jerry Kelly today, and they'll install it tomorrow, or they'll give you $500 guaranteed.
JerryKelly.com.
When it comes to finding the perfect grill, family-owned and operated Cotton's Ace Hardware has you covered. Get free delivery and free fuel on any grills over $300, and free assembly and haul away of your old grills with the purchase of a new one. With a selection from Weber to Traeger and your local retailer of the Big Green Egg, Cotton's Ace Hardware makes it easier than ever to replace your old grill. Let Cotton's Ace Hardware make your family barbecue more enjoyable with that one-of-a-kind grill you've been looking for. Find your nearest St. Louis area location at cottonsace.hardware.com.
KMOX KECK HD2 St. Louis.
The home of the Cardinals. KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Indeed.com.
I'm Linda Kenyon in Washington. President Biden is heading to the NATO summit in Lithuania. Delaware Senator Chris Coons tells CBS's Face the Nation NATO must consider admitting additional members.
We have 31 members of NATO today. There should be 32. Adding Finland and Sweden to NATO is a strategic defeat for Putin. It means that no matter the outcome on the ground in Ukraine, he has failed in his objective to divide and weaken NATO.
The war in Ukraine has surpassed 500 days. On ABC, speaking through a translator, President Zelensky says Western nations understand this war is not easy.
I don't feel any pressure at all. They seem to understand how challenging and difficult it is, how difficult it is to survive, and how difficult it is to fight.
Trying to survive an intense heat wave across much of the country with dangerous conditions in some places and no relief in sight. CBS's Bradley Blackburn has details.
In the Southwest, excessive heat warnings are expected to last through the week. Phoenix has hit at least 110 degrees every day this month, temperatures that can be dangerous.
It's not uncommon within 30 minutes to be unconscious from the heat.
In Wildwood, New Jersey, a fire at a substation knocked out power for tens of thousands, meaning no fans, no air conditioning.
I'm sweating.
Experts say if we don't take action on climate change, these searing heat waves will become the norm throughout the summer months. Authorities are looking for an escaped inmate in northwestern Pennsylvania. Lieutenant Colonel George Bivens with the Pennsylvania State Police says if you see Michael Burham, be careful.
We are considering him armed and dangerous, and we are cautioning residents if they see him or believe that he may be anywhere near them, that they should not attempt to approach him.
Burham was being held on arson and burglary charges and was a suspect in a homicide investigation. A departure delay for a cruise ship after it crashed into a San Francisco pier.
The Ruby Princess will depart Sunday, 3 days late after crashing into Pier 27 in San Francisco Thursday. Hundreds of passengers are delayed on their journey to Alaska. The crash left a hole in the hull and pierced the pier. The cruise itinerary was shortened to 7 days with stops in Alaska and British Columbia.
CBS's Wendy Gillette. The Ruby Princess is owned and operated by Princess Cruises. The Pope says at the end of September, he will appoint 21 new cardinals from across the globe.
30 settembre prossimo terrò un consistorio per la nomina di nuovi cardinali.
The Pope's choices of cardinals are closely watched as an indication of the future direction of the Catholic Church. This is CBS News.
Find great hires fast with Indeed. Their end-to-end hiring solution makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates all in the same place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news. KMOX.
At 11:03, we have mostly sunny skies now and 77 degrees downtown at the Arch. Good morning. I'm Scott Jagow. Our top story, the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office is mourning one of its own. The department says Deputy Stephen Tucker was killed last night when his motorcycle was hit head-on. It happened around 7:30 on Highway J. He was struck by a vehicle that suddenly crossed the center line. The Missouri Highway Patrol is investigating. The sheriff's office issued a statement saying Tucker will be forever remembered by his colleagues and by the people he served. He had only recently joined the sheriff's office and was assigned to the Court Services Bureau. The man shot and killed at a popular Quick Trip Friday morning has been identified. Police still don't know who shot him or why. The victim is identified as 52-year-old Geometric Steele. He died at the Quick Trip at the corner of Gravois and Chippewa. Police are looking for a man wearing a backwards baseball cap, a black T-shirt with orange wording on it. The fear of getting taxed out of your home is on the agenda this week for the St. Louis County Council.
The County Council votes Tuesday night on a plan that would enact a just-passed state law in the county that would freeze property tax costs for anybody 62 years or older at their current level. Councilman Mark Harder says this is a huge relief for seniors.
The stress that I'm hearing and the anxiety, when they're seeing their tax bills and these estimated tax bills come in the mail like they have in the last couple of weeks.
Harder thinks the bill will pass because earlier the council voted unanimously to get the plan ready. Kevin Killeen, KMOX News.
If you want to weigh in, a public hearing is scheduled for 1:30 Tuesday afternoon ahead of the vote in the council chambers. More questions about what the city is doing with the $500 million in pandemic relief money it got from the federal government. So far, less than $100 million has been spent. Aldermanic President Megan Green says part of the problem has been making sure the city is spending the money the way the federal government says it's supposed to.
Well, as we fixed the bill a couple of weeks ago, one of the problems was the bill that was initially passed for that program was not legal, and so we could not spend the money.
Green says in the fall, the board will ramp up its efforts to reallocate the money. Among the priorities, public safety, infrastructure, city employees, and the water department. This afternoon's high around 86, overnight 67. Tomorrow, 92. Still not all that humid, although we'll probably see more humidity Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday with some thunderstorms in spots. Temperatures staying in the low 90s. Right now, it's 75 in St. Peter's, 77 in Florissant, 77 downtown at the Arch. I'm Scott Jagow, KMOX News.
This is the Graybar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Graybar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. Now, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
Joe Pott in for Tom Ackerman here on this Sunday morning ahead of Cardinals baseball here on a KMOX. It is the Stifel Sports Studio. It's Graybar Sports on a Sunday morning into our second hour. Glad you're with us. And if you want to get with us, if you want to react or talk about something, you can do that by tweeting at me, Joe_Pott. You can also get on with us towards the end of the hour. We'll have some time to take some calls, perhaps 314-436-7900. Again, we'll do that at the end of the hour, about 20 minutes, 15 minutes towards 12 o'clock, something like that. That we'll be able to get some calls in here as well. And we're glad to talk to you about the Cardinals, about baseball, about St. Louis City, whatever you would like to chat about. We'll talk St. Louis City coming up here with Nate Gatter. That is coming up here at 11:15. So he'll be in the spot that Lutz Vandensteel is in. Another soccer-related piece of news. Megan Rapinoe announced yesterday that this is going to be her last World Cup. What a transformative athlete, figure, personality. She has done so much for not just women's soccer, but women's sports. I think about all of the, and I not even just, I think about all of the young kids watching the World Cup, the Women's World Cup, and aspiring to be playing for your country and to do it with as much success and enthusiasm and fervor that Megan Rapinoe has brought to the game. It has been fantastic. So congratulations to Megan Rapinoe. It would be great to see her be able to go out on top. She made the announcement just yesterday that this will be the end of her soccer career. She'll play in the World Cup. She'll finish off her professional season as well. And then that will be it for her as far as professional soccer. But my goodness, what a tremendous talent and a tremendous personality, and what a great representative of the U.S. Men's, women's, doesn't matter what the sports. She has been so fun to watch. And so that was a huge announcement yesterday that she will be sort of leaving that professional landscape. She said she's been thinking about it for a while. First of all, I can't imagine. I think she is she's pushing 40 probably. She's probably 38, 39.
Yep, 38.
38 years old. So I know how I felt at 38, and it was not that I've ever felt in professional athlete shape, but I think at 38, that would be just even tougher to get your body in shape to play the way she does and to play the minutes she does on a soccer field, which is demanding anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's demanding if you're 28. It's demanding if you're 18, like Miguel Perez for St. Louis City is. But to do it, to go out and do it at 38, pushing 40, and you're going to be playing in the World Cup.
Soccer is one of those sports where there's a lot more longevity. You know, do you think what has more longevity for an athlete? Is it baseball or soccer? What do you think?
It depends. You don't see a ton of, you see some baseball players, and I think of like an Adam Wainwright. So you see some pitchers, obviously, that stay. Nolan Ryan was well past 40 when he got finished. But then you can, I can think of like Brett Favre was up there. Tom Brady was up there past 40 years old, and they
Tom
were
Brady's like a
still
unicorn,
playing. Yeah, probably true. When you're talking about just the superior shape that they are in. And I mean, the mental part too, it's exhausting to do anything at that high of a level for that long. So yeah, I don't know. That's a good question though, because you do see some soccer. Although I feel like soccer is trending younger. You're seeing I think because of the academies and the fact that you have players that are not even really they're not playing high school soccer. They're going into the academy. And so they're ready perhaps earlier than they would have been, like, say, 4 years of high school and 4 years of college. There's not that sort of defined path to get to the pros. Again, Miguel Perez is a perfect example of that.
Yep.
The kid just graduated from high school and he's playing in the MLS.
Yeah.
So I think you're trending younger on the soccer side.
There's a lot more leagues in soccer as well for players to go into. And, baseball, mainly MLB. There's other leagues out there, but there's a lot of leagues in soccer you can go into.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, they've tried to sort of set it up now where you have these leagues that feed into Major League Soccer and that sort of mimic that farm system type layout like Major League Baseball is. But again, you have all of those academy leagues too. And I mean, these guys that are playing in the academy, it's not like you're just playing at in Creve Coeur and in Chesterfield. I mean, you're playing across the country in these leagues, and you're getting this national and then sometimes international experience.
Exactly. Yeah.
More soccer talk to come here on KMOX on Sports on a Sunday Morning. Nate Gatter is going to join us here coming up on the other side of our break. He hosts the St. Louis City Soccer Report on Sunday evenings. He's going to be out tomorrow night hosting a special edition of Sports Open Line, talking St. Louis City Soccer, and he's going to be talking St. Louis City Soccer with us on the other side of the break. It's Sports on a Sunday Morning from the Stiefel Sports Studio. Joe Pott in for Tom Ackerman, and we're coming back on KMOX.
KMOX awarded first place in sports broadcast excellence from the Missouri Broadcasters Association.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing and me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new place. Nothing is every day.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
I'm Jim Onder. There's a common misconception that all attorneys are created equal, but that's just not true. Most attorneys are not a one-stop shop. They're not equipped to handle complex trucking accidents, serious construction injuries, or catastrophic claims, let alone fly in an engineering team to reconstruct an accident and prove its cause. When it comes to lawyers, there is a difference.
Onder Law Personal Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com for more information.
Now, Y98 presents 90 in 60, a look back at the St. Louis City match against Toronto FC. Presented by Ponce Health Sciences University, creating new pathways and careers in healthcare.
Steps toward the end line against Watts, fires across, drifts through the box, top of it, grabbed by Franklin, quick shot on a bouncing ball, and it's just wide to the far post. Franklin trying to get an angle for a shot, it deflects, the puck, fires a shot, Roman Berkey, huge kick save, there was a flag up. It's the ball. Puts it back to Joachimi. Flick over the top. Wanted Vasilev perhaps. Headed away by Mabika. Second chance generates for City. AZL Jackson. He shoots and scores! City's going to be victorious again tonight. A goal by AZL Jackson 5 minutes into the second. Holt has the difference, a 1-0 win.
This has been 90 in 60, presented by Ponce Health Sciences University. Up next, City SC heads west to face LAFC Wednesday night. Pre-game at 9, kick at 9:30 on Y98 St. Louis.
Aspiring to be a doctor? Didn't score well on the MCAT? Gain all the confidence you need to succeed at Ponce Health Sciences University. PHSU west of City Park on the corner of Jefferson and Market prepares students for every aspect of a medical career. A Master of Sciences in Medical Science degree and MSMS from Ponce prepares students for the coursework, the time commitment, and the rigor for a future in healthcare. Learn more at stlouis.psm.edu. That's stlouis.psm.edu.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
It's Joe Pott in for Tom Ackerman here on this Sunday morning. Sports on a Sunday morning continues here on a KMOX, and we've switched gears to talk a little soccer. And you hear him as the host of the St. Louis City Soccer Report, which comes up later today, as a matter of fact, here on KMOX. And it is Nate Gatter who is pinch hitting today for Lutz Fan and Steel, at least a little bit. Now, what folks may or may not know, Nate, we both come from humble beginnings in the Frontier League, doing games for the Gateway Grizzlies over in Sauget. We have a lot in common in that regard, and you and I kind of go back pretty far, and it's always great when we get to share some time on the air on KMOX.
It certainly is, Joe, although I don't know how I feel about the pressure of even to some extent filling in for Lutz. That's a lot to put on my shoulders.
I didn't mean that. I just meant only in that you are filling in our what is normally a soccer segment. Let's put it that way. So we're staying with...
There you go. That
yes,
sounds better.
Yes. So Nate can be heard on Sunday nights, 5 o'clock with Jen Cease on the St. Louis City Soccer Report. And then tomorrow night, we might as well start here. Tomorrow night, you've got a really cool thing coming up. 6 to 8, you're going to be in the Sports Open line spot, but taking the show on the road and right to the fans to talk some St. Louis City soccer.
Yeah, we're really, really excited about tomorrow night. It's the first of 4 nights of our Michelob Ultra City Caravan that's going to go to various Hot Shots bar and grill locations around the St. Louis area. We're going to be at the Wentzville Hot Shots tomorrow night from 6 to 8, a special edition of Sports Open Line, sort of a Sports Open Line and St. Louis City Soccer Report merger, if you will. Jen and I will be there. We're going to have drinks and food and all that sort of stuff. And then the headliner, of course, is City striker Joao Klaus will be there. He'll join us for a segment or two on the air. He'll be signing autographs. You don't need tickets. You don't need anything. You just need to show up 6 to 8. I imagine we'll be there getting things set up and hanging out with folks probably 5:30 at the Wentzville Hot Shots tomorrow night. And if you can't make it out, we're going to have 3 more of these events are scheduled. I think one in South County, one in Webster, and maybe one in Fenton, I think. That you can see them all if you Google the Mick Ultra City Caravan and look on the Hot Shots website. But there are a couple more coming up this summer and then one in the tail end of September. We're really excited. I think it's going to be a fun event.
I think it's so cool because, I mean, first of all, I think people enjoy being able to sort of peek behind the curtain at a radio show and see how that all goes on. But obviously to get a player the stature of Joao Klaus out there in front of the fans and it just further endearing this franchise to this city.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I know Klaus, Jen has talked about this a lot. She spends a ton of time at practice during the week and gives us a ton of insight into what's going on over at the WashU Orthopedics High Performance Center right there by the stadium that you can see well driving by it on 64. And she talks about how clear it is that Klaus is, I don't want to say in pain because he can't be out there, but how frustrated he is, how much he wants to be playing. And even be training with his teammates and how hard it is for him to be sort of held out while they wait on this quad injury that has been so troublesome for him to heal. And the timeline just keeps extending and keeps extending. They're optimistic they're going to have him back after the Leagues Cup break, just a couple more games this week, then an over month-long break from MLS play for Leagues Cup where they'll play at least 2 games and maybe more depending on how it goes. They'll return to MLS play against Austin on August 20th. And I think right now my read is that they feel pretty optimistic about having him by that point. But this is a fun way for him to, get to interact with the fans. Obviously he'd rather be in LA with the team getting ready to play on Wednesday night. But if there's any silver lining, it's that now he has the opportunity to do some of this fan outreach. And I know it's one of the things that the players have really enjoyed, how this community has taken to them so quickly, so supportively. And I'm sure he'll be happy to give some of that gratitude back to them tomorrow night at Hot Shots in Wentzville.
So let's talk about this St. Louis City team that won its third straight game last night, second straight one-goal win. And what continues to impress me about this franchise, this team, and it's something that Bradley Carnell said early in the year or early in the history of this team, and it's something that Lutz has said numerous times. This is going to be a team. It is not going to just be a player. And with an evolving roster and evolving style, the team continues to win and continues to make headlines and break records as an expansion team.
You're exactly right. And, Lutz has taken some shtick for that from various, I don't think so much locally, but certainly nationally from fans and even from national media going back to last year when he was talking about how this would be a club centered on the quote unquote designated team. When people heard him say that, I think they heard him say, we don't want to spend money on big name players, which might be a little bit true, where that remains to be seen. City do have the second lowest payroll of all 29 teams in Major League Soccer. Just makes it all the more impressive, the success they're having so far. When you add on top of that 3 of the 4 players making 7 figures have been out for most of now, essentially have missed more games than not. Joachim Nielsen has missed the entire season to this point. They're hoping to have him relatively soon, probably back end of the Leagues Cup break as well. Klaus has missed, more than half of City's MLS games now. He's been out since mid-April. And Edouard Leuven has missed the last month or so. They're supposedly holding out hope they could have him back Wednesday night in LA, which is a little bit ahead of the schedule that we had been hearing over the last week or two. But regardless, those are 3 of your 4 most important players, with Roman Burki then the other one who's making 7 figures. And those 3 have combined to miss a really substantial number of games at this point. It is incredible they're in the position they're in. It was already incredible even before these injuries started to really mount. I will say I think they have benefited to some degree from the timing. Their schedule has really softened up, with the exception of LAFC, which is a notable and substantial exception coming up on Wednesday. The other 3 of their final 4 games, so the last 2 they played, and then next weekend after the LAFC game, are against 3, maybe the 3 worst teams in the league in Colorado, Toronto, and then Inter Miami coming up this next weekend after the LAFC game. So my position has always been the goal. If you can get 9 of those points, who cares what happens against LAFC? I would not be pushing Edouard Leuven to return against LAFC. If City lose this game 4-0, I'm really not concerned. This is not anywhere close to a full-strength City club. Coming into this week, playing 3 games in 7 days or 8 days, the goal should have been 6 points. And the easiest way to get those 6 points was to get 3 in Toronto last night and then to get 3 more next weekend at home against Inter Miami. And I think, to me, that's the trajectory that makes the most sense. Obviously, they're not going to roll over and wave the white flag for no reason in LA on Wednesday. But whatever happens Wednesday, City fans should be very pleased at how this team has persevered through this bout of injuries. And a lot of guys have stepped up. And we were saying this is not a team that seems like it has a lot of depth on paper, not a lot of guys on the bench who have significant MLS experience, but they have stepped up. AZ Jackson has been maybe the most important player for City over the last couple of weeks. You add in Akil Watts and what he's done at right back, and those were the 2 guys who linked up for the goal early in the second half last night. Watts the assist, Jackson his first goal in Major League Soccer. Of course, he scored in other competitions for City this year. I didn't think City finished well. They didn't play well in the first half at all. And even the chances they did create, they didn't finish that well. Joe Aquini had a good chance in the first half. Samuel Adeniran had a good chance in the first half. Neither one of them capitalized. So it's really the unheralded guys. It was Adeniran a couple of games ago when they were in San Jose. It's been Joe Aquini for long stretches with Klaus out. And recently it's been Jackson and now Akil Watts, who are really stepping up and providing a lot of offense for a team that is missing a huge chunk of its goal and assist production due to injury.
I believe it was Bradley Carnell that said it in the pregame show. I heard Joey Zanaboni and Dale Schilly talking about it on the broadcast last night, that there is something to learning how to hold on to one of those wins, right? Hold on to a 1-goal game and finish it and win it. And that's what they've done in the last couple of games as well.
Yeah, I think the blueprint for them has been relatively consistent when they've been undermanned these last few weeks, or even going back over the, now close to 3 months that Klaus has been out, in that they at times will have to rely on Roman Berkey, which that's why they're paying him so much. Right. Roman Berkey, by MLS standards, is enormously overpaid as a goalkeeper. I don't mean that to say he actually is, because he took a big pay cut to come here. He has European pedigree that outclasses anybody else on the City roster by miles. But he is being paid more than essentially any goalkeeper has ever been paid in MLS, and it's not close, with the exception of Tim Howard, but he was sort of a glory signing for Colorado Rapids, who was just about marketing at the end of his career and putting butts in the seats more than he was about his production. Berkey is living up to that, because there have been stretches, especially with a sort of patchwork back line at times, with no Joachim Nielsen at any time at center back this year, when he was expected to be a stalwart when they signed him in the lead up to this season back last summer. So Berkey, and that we saw that in the first half. Berkey made some big saves last night. At the same time, City were still able to create chances. I think on a different night, Joaquini and/or Adeniran popped their chances home in the first half. Certainly, I thought City had a really good penalty shout in the first 15 minutes when Vasilev's free kick was knocked down by an outstretched arm in the Toronto wall. That, for me, should have been a penalty. The referee went to the monitor and looked at it and said no. Of course, if you have any refereeing questions, we talk
laws of the game
evening at 5:45 to George Gansner, former FIFA and MLS referee, on laws of the game, and he will be answering for what happened there. My understanding is that he agrees that it should have been a penalty that wasn't given. So I think there's a different world here where City play a poor first half, but between Roman Berkey and some better finishing and getting that penalty, where they could have been 2-3-0 up at halftime, even though they were not that good. So, for me, like you said, finding different ways to win, different guys stepping up. The ultimate underpinning, though, and it's important to remember, has been Roman Berkey making multiple big saves over sloppy stretches for City in almost every game. And I think you'd be hard pressed, especially now that Leuven has missed some time, to give this year's MVP for City to anybody but Roman Berkey.
Nate Gatter, I appreciate you taking some time this morning and filling our 11:15 spot and talking some St. Louis City. Anything else that we should look for today at 5 o'clock from the upcoming St. Louis City Soccer Report?
Well, we'll talk to Dale Schilly, as we always do, at 5:15. We'd love to get his insight. Of course, he's on the broadcast crew with Joey Zanaboni, as you mentioned, on our sister station, Y98. We'll also be talking some about the local club game, because a lot of the club teams locally are coming to their national championships, and we like to try to highlight some of the local grassroots efforts in soccer, because obviously that's such a big part of our history with the game in this city. And then we'll be talking about the U.S. men's and women's national teams as well. The men's team, of course, advancing into the knockout stages of the Gold Cup against Canada today, and the women playing their final tune-up against Wales before they head off to the World Cup later on this month. And then just one more reminder for more City talk and to meet Klaus, get an autograph, as well as some great food and drinks, and see a little bit of how the show is put on the air. You can come out to Hot Shots in Wentzville tomorrow night, 6 to 8. Jen and I will be there on the air live on KMOX from Hot Shots in Wentzville, and Klaus will be joining us.
Well, we will be tuned in tonight at 5. We will be tuned in tomorrow from 6 to 8, and I appreciate you taking the time today, Nate.
Thanks a lot, Joe.
That is Nate Gatter with us here talking some St. Louis City soccer. The Cardinals president of baseball operations, John Mozeliak, is up next as we get back to some Cardinals talk here on the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning from the Stiefel Sports Studio. Joe Pott with you. Keep it here on KMOX.
KMOX Enter Service Weekend, sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation.
Whether you're looking to fill low spots in your lawn, backfill that new retaining wall, or mulch your trees and flower beds, St. Louis Composting has the compost, soil, or mulch you need to help your plants and garden look its very best. Visit our website, stlcompost.com, for more information.
I would suit up in my uniform, and you're going out on patrol. What are we going to do tonight? Well, we're going to rob some drug dealers, and I know how to do it really well.
Listen to and follow The Set, an Odyssey Originals documentary podcast series, available now on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your shows.
I'm not a bad guy, man, but I loved being that dirty.
Summer is here,
Time to enjoy baseball, barbecues, and the shade of your trees. When it comes to tree care, call the certified arborist at Gamma Tree Experts. Hi, I'm Tim Gamma. Protect your valuable trees from storm damage or devastating insects such as the emerald ash borer. Knowledge and quality are hallmarks of our reputation. For pruning, spraying, fertilization, or removals, call Gamma Tree Experts today at 314-725-6159 or visit us at gammatree.com. Your trees deserve the best care.
Jules on Hampton in St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches on site. Jules on Hampton is a premier jeweler with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jules on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks, sports memorabilia, and figurines too. Jules on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa. Call them at 314-752-5000. Jules on Hampton.
We're talking to Dr. Colleen Bosler from the Audiology Center about why you, Dr. Bosler, love your field, audiology.
You know, what I hate is when people come and tell me that they avoid going to a dining hall at their place of residence because they don't want to have trouble hearing or ask people what. But what I love is when a patient tells me this, and then after wearing a pair of our hearing aids for a few weeks, they tell me that they no longer avoid those difficult settings. Helen Keller said it best, and I always say this, but blindness disconnects you from things, but hearing loss disconnects you from people. So at the Audiology Center, we try to care about you, and we want to reconnect you to your loved ones.
Well, thank you very much, Doctor. She's Dr. Colleen Bosler from the Audiology Center. Make an appointment today, 636-441-7470 or online, audiologycenterstl.com.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
Joe Pott in for Tom Ackerman here as the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning continues here on KMOX. We're back into the baseball talk and pleased to welcome in the Cardinals president of baseball operations, John Mozeliak. Good morning, Mo.
Good morning. How are you?
I am doing well. And as I mentioned to the manager, Oliver Marmol, I'm sure that it's not a bad Sunday morning when you wake up after a good, solid pitching performance and a nice, solid win yesterday in Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was great to see Miles perform the way he did, get the key hits and win the game. You know, no running from it. It's been a tough year. It's been a tough week in terms of some games that we could have won that we didn't. And, you know, that's unfortunate. But to at least come out of there with a win yesterday is nice. And hopefully we can repeat it today and then go into the All-Star break on a high note.
After a game like yesterday where everything sort of lines up and you've got exactly what you want pitching-wise, you're getting the hits that you need, does it just give you more of a feeling of, oh, what might have been or what could have been, perhaps?
You know, I think as I look back at the season, and I'm sure you're not looking for a recap here, but, you know, it's hard not to get away from the fact that you know, we obviously got off to a very slow start. We dug ourselves a pretty deep hole. And I think in that process, there's the physical part of what's happening in the game, but there's also the mental side of what's happening in the game. And I think, you know, as a team, we just lost a lot of confidence in who we were. And as you look back at the last couple months, in a lot of ways, that's how we play. We just don't have that confidence that you see when you're winning in a winning club. And you know, it's hard to just turn that back on or find it. And so when you do string a couple good games together, yeah, you inch back to that feeling. But then when you look at our season, every time we sort of get a little momentum going forward, we find ways to, lose that. And so I just think when you think about us as a group, like the sum of your parts, it's just, we're not able to collectively pull that confidence that you need to play in this game at this level on a regular basis. And so, we're going to look at ways to try to change that. And that's probably going to mean trying to change a few faces, candidly. And so we'll just see how the next 2 to 3 weeks play out. Obviously, with the trading deadline looming, we're going to have to look at ways to try to help this club now, but also, have an eye on what we might be able to do to better ourselves for 2024 and beyond.
I'm just going to cross off all my notes because I think you hit on a lot of what I have been thinking and talking about. I feel like it's a really candid evaluation because one of the things that I have felt that I have said is last year you see this team, down a couple of runs, you get a couple of men on base and you feel like, hey, no issue. They're going to drive these runs in. And it has felt the opposite to me this year. And you've kind of verbalized that and sort of that mental aspect of that and what that feels like. Back to what might happen or what can happen at the All-Star break or at the trade deadline, rather. Can you? I realize that there is no reason that this needs to be some sort of extreme, and I don't think anybody believes that it should be. I take that back. I'm sure people do believe there should be some sort of extreme one way or the other. Is there a way? Are there things that you believe you can do that will improve this team, but also perhaps be able to move on from some of the pieces that are here, as you said? Can you do both?
Well, I think the way we're going to look at it is a lot of times I think in baseball, when you talk about the trading deadline, we sort of think about it in very binary terms, buying or selling.
Mm-hmm.
And I always think about it sort of more as like there's sort of like four troughs, right? There's the go buy, there's the sell, there's do nothing, and then there's that hybrid. And I think from an organizational standpoint, we have to understand all four of those. But I think most of our energy is going to be on the latter and trying to really understand, is there a way to take some of the pieces we have now to better ourselves for the short-term future? Not when I think about selling and when you think about like teams that have literally sacrificed multiple seasons to prepare themselves to, make a run, I don't see us doing that where we're going to be, necessarily trading players for, rookie level prospects. I think, our goal is going to be to be competitive in 2024. We do think we have a lot of good pieces that haven't worked in the sense of having success in 2023, but we're not going to necessarily just abandon where we are in our thought process and then circle 2026. I think we owe it to our fans, and the exercise that we'll really focus on over the next 3 weeks is how we can try to accomplish that.
I think we lost Mo there, so we apologize for that. Some technical difficulties there as he was explaining kind of what this approach is going to be like coming up at the transaction deadline, the trade deadline, whatever you care to call it, and just talking about how they improve the club moving forward and how they kind of set themselves up for the best case scenario. We'll do our best to get Mo back on here for another couple of minutes here on Sports on a Sunday morning. We are getting ready for Cardinals baseball as well as the Cards get set to take on the White Sox coming up here in the last game before the All-Star break. That'll come up at 1:10, and it will be Steven Matz on the mound today. He is looking for his first win of the year. He is 0-7 as he gets back into the starting rotation. He's done a lot of appearing out of the bullpen for this team, but as it would have it, as things go, Cardinals in need for a starter right now, and it even goes back to that Saturday of last weekend when they had to play 2 games against the Yanks. Of course, they were rained out on the Friday night. They had to play the double dip on Saturday to try to get that series in. So it kind of has messed with the rotation. Then you throw in the injury to Adam Wainwright that put him on the injured list. You now add the possible, we'll see, injury to Jordan Montgomery. And we got an update from the Cards manager just saying that they will evaluate that tonight when they get back from this trip from Chicago, that the Cardinals doctors and medical staff will take a look at Jordan Montgomery. So all of that adds up to you need some more arms in the rotation, and Steven Matz is the guy up for the rotation. Don't think we're going to have a chance to get John Mozeliak back. Appreciate John taking some time today to chat with us here on Sports on a Sunday Morning, as he does each and every Sunday. I mean, almost without fail, we are able to hear from the Cardinals manager and the Cardinals GM, or Cardinals president, rather, of baseball operations. And so I do appreciate that. Our apologies for the technical difficulties here this morning. We will have a chance to hear from you as well. If you are interested in getting involved in the program, 314-436-7900. You can call in. We can chat. We can talk about anything you may like to talk about, whether it's Cardinals or it's City or it's anything else going on in St. Louis sports right now. You can also tweet at me, Joe_Pott, and I will try to get some of those tweets on as well as we finish up this edition of the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday Morning, leading right into Cardinals baseball here on a Sunday afternoon, a 1:10 first pitch from Guaranteed Rate Field. Drew Young is our producer. He is back there working the phones as we speak here, as we get ready for the final segment here of Sports on a Sunday Morning. We'll go ahead and take that final break here, and we'll get into our final segment. And I think we do have at least a call waiting, so we'll get to that when we come back here on the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday Morning. Joe Pott in for Tom Ackerman today in the Stiefel Sports Studio. This is KMOX.
Hey, Debbie Monterey here. Before you sell your home, you should know what it's worth in today's market. Call Gloria Liu. She'll tell you. With 20 plus years of experience, Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty has been successfully selling homes in your area for more money than the average agent. Gloria has multiple selling options that give you, the seller, the power of how and when your home is sold. A few of Gloria's options include bringing multiple cash offers from her substantial pool of investors, a zero commission program, and don't forget Gloria's guaranteed sale program. How can Gloria guarantee the sale of your home? Because Gloria's database of buyers is huge, and she's so confident that she can sell your home that she can put her own money where her mouth is. So just call Gloria today, your local St. Louis real estate expert, at 314-325-6888. 314-325-6888 or online at gloriahasthebuyers.com. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Broadcasting from the Underline Three Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
Celebrate the next St. Louis City SC home game with KMOX on the Purina Performance Plaza at the base of the wheel at Union Station. It all happens this Saturday. The party starts at 4 and will feature live music from DJ Lottie London and DJ KU, soccer-themed games, Union Station attraction giveaways, and so much more. Come kick it off with us and be part of the celebration for St. Louis City SC. Don't miss out on the fun. More details at odyssey.com/KMOX.
Hi folks, Joe Buck. The experts at New Space understand your home office is an important part of your home. Whether you work from home remotely or just need a place to get online, New Space can help design a comfortable space. Go to newspace.com to get started on your custom home office. That's newspace.com.
I don't want to wait.
You never want to wait.
Not when I'm sticking to the couch.
Well, those guys can install a new AC for days. Evidently, no one can.
Jerry Kelly can install a new AC tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow, even if we call it 8 tonight.
Wow, that's fast.
They're fast and they're good.
Mathematically, that actually equals got it going on.
Tomorrow, I love ya. JerryKelly.com.
More than 80 million Americans depend on AM radio for their news, weather, sports, and a community connection. It's the backbone of the emergency alert system. It's critical that we keep AM radio in cars because when cell and internet services are down, this free emergency service could be your only lifeline. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning.
Goldschmidt swings and he hits a drive. He hits a slammer.
Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs.
Billikens win! Billikens win!
Once again, from the Stifel Financial Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman.
Joe Pott in for Tom Ackerman here on this Sunday morning. It's Gray Bar Sports on a Sunday morning from our downtown KMOX studios. Drew Young, our producer behind the board today. Appreciate all that he does. Glad you're with us as well. Want to get to some calls because I did promise to do that. Steve is up first to talk Cardinals on KMOX.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I'm glad you guys have brought this back. I actually had reached out to Tom Ackerman on LinkedIn about it, and he had mentioned that you guys were going to be doing this, and I think it's great. Let the fans have a voice, even when it's not something you want to hear, as a Cardinal flagship. I just don't know how Ali Marmol keeps his job. I mean, fundamentals. I'm sorry, that's a manager's response. This team had 5 Golden Glovers at one time, and all of a sudden their fundamentals are shot. They're not doing things to win games. Bruce Bochy went over to the Texas Rangers, got our pitching coach, rebuilt their pitching staff, and Bochy's a Hall of Fame manager. Why in the world the Cardinals give a guy like Ali Marmol the responsibility? It'd be like giving my 16-year-old a brand new Corvette when he turned 16. This franchise, the reason they did it, and it's been supported by people on MLB Network who I regard very highly, is that Mozeliak wanted a yes man. La Russa did what he wanted to do. So you brought in Schilt, who turned the fundamentals around. If you remember, that team with Matheny had horrible fundamentals. Was a great manager, and he turned that around. We lost our pitching coach. We've got some analytical guy that's never thrown a pitch in his life. There's something to be said of these guys that have thrown the ball before or been in dugouts. Why Ali Marmol, a manager's responsibility is to handle the bullpen, handle the pitching, handle the fundamentals, and do things to win games. These guys don't move the ball around. They don't steal bases. This team has gone right back into the tank. We fired a manager of the year because he didn't talk nice to Mozeliak, and Mozeliak didn't like it that he challenged him. This is a mess. This whole franchise needs to be gutted. Mozeliak's got to go. Marmol never should have had the job. God bless him. I know he's probably handcuffed with what he has to do. And it's just, we've gone from a guy like Tony La Russa, who got whatever he wanted, and they brought in their yes man, and Schilt didn't do it. I mean, Schilt did an incredible job. There is absolutely no reason why that manager should have been fired, and we're getting exactly what we deserve. This needs to be gutted, and it has to start at the top. Thanks,
Steve. I appreciate it. No, thank you for calling in, and just to address a couple of those things. I understand the frustration wholly, and I think that I assume and I believe that there is certainly some hesitation to make another managerial change. This team has made 3 managerial changes starting at the All-Star break in 2018. That's when Matheny was let go. That's when Schilt was brought in. And then, of course, letting Schilt go after the 2021 season. So this is year number 2 with Oliver Marmol. And I do think it is sort of the way that baseball is going, that it is not just a manager making those baseball decisions and the front office making, some personnel decisions. I think that it is more of an organizational direction. And I don't think that the Cardinals are the only franchise that is doing that. So I think that, I understand your point when you say that Oliver Marmol was brought in to be sort of I don't think he's a yes man. I certainly don't look at it like that, but I do understand your point. Now, I think that your point on defensive fundamentals is on the nose. And I recall very clearly Mike Schilt putting that out as a priority when he got the job, that he was going to clean that up. He did just that, turn this back into a tight defensive ship. And we had a caller earlier today that talked about all of the position moving and all of the moving parts and how that has affected the defense. And I think that has to do with it as well, because But it's tough because even a guy like Nolan Arenado he just hasn't been as not solid because he's been solid. He hasn't been as 100% reliable as you would expect him to be. So I don't know that all of that can be placed on the manager, but I certainly understand where your frustration is coming from. Let's try to get a couple more calls in. Chuck is up next. Chuck, you are on KMOX.
Yeah, hi. Your previous caller pretty much hit the nail on the head. Just a couple things. Early in the season, when Ollie was interviewed in the middle of a Cardinal losing streak, and they asked him a question, does this bother you? Are you concerned about it? And he just shook his head. No, I'm not concerned. We'll be fine. I don't know what he was thinking about. There were no changes. The other thing is about Adam Wainwright. He's a hero of mine and everybody in St. Louis. But is there not anyone on that bench, pitching coach, president, who realized that he had the pitches going to to compete at the big league level? They should have taken him out and let him rest, but they didn't. They threw him to the wolves. Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate it, Chuck. So a couple of things there. Let's start with Adam Wainwright. First of all, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly if I understand where you're coming from there, that they threw him to the wolves, needed to rest. He missed obviously a good portion of the start of the season simply because he was injured himself during the World Baseball Classic, and did that kind of in the weight room in the start of that World Baseball Classic, or the end of the World Baseball Classic, start of the season. So he missed some time there. I think that for the most part, you're just seeing a guy who is 40 plus years old that, in fact, is going to be 42 years old coming up here on August 30th, that is struggling as he tries to finish his career. I don't think that this is, I don't think they've thrown him to the wolves or anything like that. So that's, and he's on the injured list right now. He has said that he wants to come back, that he doesn't want this to be the end. And I think everybody hopes that it's not the end for Adam Wainwright, that he is able to rest up, do what he needs to do to come back and finish off strong, whatever that means for the end of his career. Because I do think that, as you said, this is a guy that deserves every accolade that he gets from baseball, certainly from this city, and certainly from this organization. He's 2 wins away from 200 in his career. It would be great to see him get to that 200 win mark. Now, back to an earlier comment. You mentioned that Oliver Marmol said early in the year during a losing streak, he's not worried. I'm not sure what you expect the manager to say at that point in time, because it was early in the year, whether it was April or it was May. We all know baseball is a long season. I don't know that anybody, even then, and you can say what you will, I don't know that anybody thought it was going to be this bad, that the record would be this bad, the team would be this bad at the All-Star break. So early in the season, I would expect the Cardinals manager to say, I'm not worried. We have a good team. We have good talent, and we're going to be okay moving forward. That's what I say to that. Thank you for the call, Chuck. Let's move along. Let's get to Terry. You are up next. Terry, good morning. Welcome to KMOX.
I want to echo what that first caller said. I agree with him 100%. Also, I appreciate you guys taking phone calls again and getting the fans part of the program. So thank you for that. But about a month ago, I called up on here, and I was asking you if you had any idea why the Cardinals removed Bruce Sutter's number from their jersey, and you said you were going to find out. And I still haven't heard anything about it. I tried calling them up. They made me sit on the line for 15 minutes and never answered. So I'm wondering if maybe you could find out why they did this. I sure hope they didn't remove that because they put that company's sign on their jersey, because that is despicable to remove a Cardinal legend for that. I can understand having it on there, but you don't remove a Cardinal legend's number to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. And first of all, I apologize because, excuse me, it was me who you called and asked about that. And I did say I was going to find out, and I haven't found out. So I apologize for that. So I wrote it down right here. I am going to try to find out what the reason was, because I think even with the Stiefel patch, there's a spot on the other sleeve, first of all, that they should be able to put that back on. I've also wondered myself why we haven't seen anything recognizing Mike Shannon after he passed this year as well, because it's sort of been the way of the Cardinals. If you think back to when they lost Stan Musial, Red Shandies, they kept that patch on during the year, and maybe even for Gibson and for Brock, the 45 and the 20. So that is a really good question, and I apologize that I did not get a chance to ask that, because truthfully, I did forget about that. I will ask that question. I will see if we can find out and have an answer on why the Cardinals have removed that Bruce Sutter patch. Of course, the Cardinals Hall of Fame closer who passed away earlier this year. Thanks so much, Terry, for the call. Appreciate you being a part of the show. Appreciate all of our callers today being part of the show. And of course, as always, our guests for being on with us today, Oliver Marmol. Sam Dykstra from MLB Pipeline joined us in the first hour. We talked prospects, we talked futures game, and we talked the Major League Baseball draft, which of course comes up starting tonight. We visited with Nate Gatter at the beginning of this 11 o'clock hour, talking about St. Louis City. Really cool thing coming up tomorrow. If you're able to, 6 to 8 out at the Wentzville Hot Shots. It's the Michelob Ultra St. Louis City Caravan. That will be Nate Gatter, Jen Cease. They'll have Xiao Klaus out there, St. Louis City striker. He'll be talking to folks and signing autographs as well. And, of course, thanks to the Cards president of baseball operations, John Mozeliak. We didn't get our full-time allotment with the Cards president. Had some technical difficulties, but we appreciate him taking some time, and you know that he'll be back. If at all possible, he'll be back next Sunday, as he always is, in this spot, and, of course, probably some other times as well here on KMOX. So up next, it is Cardinals baseball coming up here on KMOX. We'll be with you after the noon news, and the pregame show gets started today at 12:15. Cardinals and the White Sox, final game of this 3-game series, final game of the unofficial first half of the season, final game before the All-Star break for everybody, and then we'll take a break for the Home Run Derby and the All-Star game coming up this week. Big thanks to Drew Young. He's been behind the board for us all morning long, and he makes all of this show come together as you hear it on Sunday mornings here, as far as guests and all that are concerned. I'm Joe Pott. Keep it here on KMOX.
Hi, Ken Newbold for Newbold Toyota. 2023 is our 50th year of being a Toyota dealer, so come see us. We're on Highway 64 in O'Fallon, Illinois, or check us online at newboldtoyota.com. You'll be sold on Newbold.
The MSD Rate Commission represents the voice of the people in MSD's rate-setting process. The commission is hosting multiple public meetings this summer to gather your input on proposed rate increases for wastewater and stormwater services. To find the meeting closest to you, please visit msdprojectclear.org/rate commission.